to the Making Sense, the October 2014 Pathways to Graduation decision, so that we can move forward. And once you understand it, perhaps you'll be able to think more about how you develop successful pathways for students, and also to take some action. Today we have our outline. We are going to review the pathway to graduation, and we're going to talk about the social studies exam and the course modifications that are in this proposal. We're also going to review the 5 pathways that are being proposed and establish a foundation so that we can move forward. Recommendations for the departments that were made by the Board of Regents will be discussed, and next steps for CTE will be outlined. And at that point, we will have some time for questions, as Gretchen had mentioned to us. So why is the Board of Regents moving toward a pathways system? And this statement, in too many schools, college became the end instead of the means to the end. And this proposal has been a long time in coming, approximately 5 years at least, with some background work being done on it. The College for All mantra has not proven to be effective for all students or in meeting the needs of business and industry in New York State. This slide talks about the fact that many Americans are unemployed, but there are 3.8 million jobs in the United States remaining unfilled. So it is becoming necessary to better prepare students for the jobs that we have in this country. And it is important to pursue a level of education that is aligned with the workplace. What you major in matters a lot, and let me give you some idea about what that statement means. This slide shows the top 10 fields of study students are pursuing in post-secondary education. Now let's see how these compare with the bachelor's degrees that are needed for the workplace. And if you notice that business is at the top of this, and then general studies is second here. On this slide, as you can see, there is a mismatch between the training programs and the need for bachelor's degrees. If I got the right one up? No, next one. Yeah. Bachelor's degrees in the present day workplace. And in this one, as you can see, general studies is 10, and then 3 and 4, I'm sorry I went back, were 6 and 9 on this. So with this next slide, let's be reminding ourselves of the distinction between eligibility and readiness. Remember, while the grad rate is admirable, particularly in light of requiring all students to graduate at 65 or the safety net levels, and no local diploma for general ed kids, these standards, 5 at 65, do not guarantee a level of readiness necessary to be successful in college or career. Similarly, let's remind ourselves that the system has to be more than academic and technical preparation or readiness, but about citizenship and EQ readiness. This slide shows the college and career readiness model that SED has been using. And here is SED's vision and goal for college, career, and citizenship readiness. They envision high school graduation for all, success in post-secondary programs, success in workforce, and I think I'm just getting a message that there are some connection difficulties, so let me see if I can resolve that. Maybe it's going to be better now. Here's NYSCD's vision and goal for college career readiness. As I said, high school graduation for all, success in post-secondary programs, success in the workforce, and being able to meaningfully contribute to society's economic and democratic well-being. The goal is to have this accomplished by 2015, and that all students have access to a set of assessment pathways grounded in the Common Core learning standards, and similarly rigorous pathways should be established, and that students should be able to have a choice in deciding which pathways they should pursue. Okay, my computer seems to be sticking. I think it goes along with the weather today. Yeah. So the proposed amendments to section 100.2 and 100.5 of the regulations of the Commissioner of Education relating to pathways to graduation in global history and geography course requirements and the global history exam were approved as decision on October 20th, 2014 by the Board of Regents. An item on multiple pathways was expected, and this decision item was an important first step. How can we better understand this? The regulation 100.5 says or addresses global history and geography course requirement and the global history exam. It's required by the new language and to have 2 years of study in global history and geography, and it's reinforcing of the Regents exam to align with the second year course only, and the first administration of the global history exam will be in 6/18. The news and notes from the Commissioner in November includes extensive information on these changes, and it's available at Engage New York, so you can explore this further. Here are the proposed social studies credits requirements. And the current requirements for social studies are U.S. history and government for 1 credit, and the participation in government for a half a credit, and the economics for half a credit. And then they have the global history and geography exam and the U.S. history and government exam. The proposed requirements are 4 credits. The course requirements are global history and geography 1 for 1 credit, global history and geography 2 for 1 credit, U.S. history and government for 1 credit, and participation in government for 0.5, and then economics for 0.5, with the assessment in global history and geography 2 only covering the second year course, and U.S. history and government is the next one. So it's definitely a change in area for social studies towards the graduation requirement. 5 pathways have been proposed and can be offered in addition to the academic pathways currently required. And these new pathways are in the areas of humanities, STEM, biliteracy, CTE, and the arts. Biliteracy is a specialization in languages other than English. And that one will you may not see on all of the information that's come from the State Education Department, because that's one that's been addressed a little bit more recently. Now, I have a link here that I'm not going to show you, but I refer you to it. This is a video that was developed for and shown at the October 20 Board of Regents meeting as an introduction to the discussion about the pathways decision, to give a 30,000-foot overview of the pathways idea. So I do suggest you take a look at that, and you will be able to find that under the Board of Regents, the minutes or the notes from the meeting and the agenda on the State Ed website. So you go into SED's website, the Board of Regents, look at meetings, and then look at the October 20th meeting, and you will find the link to this video. This next slide shows the 4 pathways, but remember there's also one that is biliteracy. And under the current system of completion, far too many students are dropping out of school or are not having their academic needs met, leading to increasing levels of remediation in entry-level college classes and/or unsuccessful attempts to achieve a living wage job. The lack of coherence between K-12 and college and/or career and industry must be remedied by a model of readiness that contains a combination of common expectations, the Common Core learning standards, and multiple similarly rigorous pathways which lead to student success. The pathways are designed to give students choice rather than only pursuing the current college path. And note that this slide, again, does not include the biliteracy, but there are 5 additional pathways. Multiple market and student choice-driven pathways will increase student engagement, student achievement, and ultimately college, career, and citizenship readiness. The result will be a strengthening of our economy and our democratic way of life. And you can see that last statement reflects the changes in social studies. This, I'm going to have to go back with that one. Yeah. Pathways are a route to 2-year and 4-year colleges, additional career training, and employment. You will see that there should be in a pathway college and career-ready curriculum, along with the Regents requirements, a sequence of aligned courses to a pathway, approved alternative assessments, CTE is assessments and industry-certified exams, and work-based learning that lead a student to post-secondary study, additional career training, and/or employment. The pathways requirements are on this slide as outlined in the proposal. Students must meet all 22 units of credit currently required, and I want to emphasize that. The current requirements for 22 units of coursework are the same. And 22 credits are distributed as 4 social studies, 3 math, 3 science, 4 ELA, 1 in languages other than English, 1 fine arts, a half in health, 2 PE, and 3.5 electives, including CTE. So who does this apply to? The timetable allows a school to look back into a current student's records to determine if the student has met pathways requirement and can therefore earn a diploma through an alternative path. The student who first entered in grade 9 in 2011 is eligible to receive a high school diploma in 2015 and can receive a diploma through an alternate pathway. And a CTE pathway requires the completion of an approved CTE program. So please keep that in mind because that's something very important to understand. Now I think that I might have somehow skipped over a slide, so bear with me while I go back. I'm not sure what happened with that. And this is a very important one. That students may substitute one social studies, global or U.S. history Regents exam with a pathway exam. This is termed the 4+1 option. The example, the CTE technical assessment, is approved by the commissioner after successful completion of approved CTE programs, and substitutions of biliteracy and arts pathway require, like CTE, the commissioner's approval of the exam, and substitutions for STEM and humanities can use the Regents exam, and STEM would use a second math or a science Regents in the substitution. And again, this applies to the student who was in grade 9 in 2011 and will graduate in June 2015 and will receive a diploma through an alternative, or can receive a diploma through the alternative pathway. The CTE pathway, again, requires the completion of the CTE program. A pathway is the pathways is a solution to the key challenge, and it helps to spark hope and purpose. The pathways engage youth in learning, and pathways help to build a skilled and ready workforce. What this is not. It's not a call for every student to be a CTE student. It is not an attempt to limit student choice and develop tracks. We definitely are not looking at tracking. We're looking at pathways that are equivalent. A call for a separate CT pathway independent of other equally viable educational experiences and pathways. It's not watering down standards. It's not abandoning the Common Core state learning standards. It's not adding more assessments, and it's not being slavishness to business interests. Sorry, this keeps jumping. The 4+1 assessment pathway. In September 2014, the Board of Regents instructed the department to draft regulatory amendments to implement a 4+1 pathway to graduation, whereby students may take 4 Regents exams and comparably rigorous technical and other assessments for the 5th required examination. Under the proposed amendment change, the 4+1 pathway option would apply beginning with students who are eligible to receive a high school diploma in June 2015 and thereafter. Blue Ribbon Commission, led by Cornell University, reviewed and recommended that the Commissioner approve the following 13 technical assessments as the capstone for pathways. And you can see that they are from several varied career areas, and they are as promised to review more than 13. One of the concerns right now is that the 13 that have been approved really impact only about 157 of the over 1,000 approved CTE programs and impact probably less than 1,000 students. So it is very important that the state continue to review the pathways or the technical assessments to be approved for pathways. And that is also a question that many people are asking, and the Board of Regents has directed the Commission to do that work, and hopefully they will be beginning early next year. All students earning a Regents diploma will take a balanced curriculum including American history, global studies, science, languages other than English, art, physical education, and health. And they will earn a minimum of 22 high school credits and meet required elements of their pathway. And for CTE, that would be the technical assessment that would be approved, and they would also have to complete the approved CTE program. A review of our current requirements, consider commenting on the use and impact of integrated credits if you are going to be responding to the public comment time that we have up until December 19th. You might want to think about making some statements about that. Another component of the advanced designation credential is the completion of advanced coursework in the languages other than English, 2 additional units of study for a total of 3 plus a local test, or CTE 5 units of study, or the arts 5 units of study. This is important to emphasize, and there is a note about this at the SED website. Required elements of pathways are listed here. The appropriate assessment and related high rigor courses in each of the pathways is important. The federal government requires annual testing in math and ELA in grades 3 and 8, an annual science assessment in science at least once in grades 3 through 5, and then again in 6 through 9. The assessments at least once in mathematics, ELA, and science in grades 10 through 12, and alternate assessments of students with students with disabilities, the annual assessment of the acquisition of English proficiency for English language learners, and students may meet the requirement by taking Regents examinations or approved alternatives to the Regents prior to grade 9 and banking the results for high school accountability. There are opportunities for students to enter and exit pathway options. Pathways should be grounded in common core learning standards so that those standards are transferable from one to the other, or the accomplishment of those standards. They should be similarly rigorous. Again, this is not to be tracking. And they should allow for student choice. And this is one of the ideas that more students are likely to become engaged and complete their education if they are interested in what they are doing and see the relevance of it. And they have demonstrated effective outcomes for students. In some ways, the CTE approved program process has helped to shape the idea of pathways. Be reminded that a CTE pathway must be built on a CTE approved program. And we are hoping that a similar process will be followed in the development of all pathways, because we feel that the approved program process has really given CTE a boost, and we're seeing much more rigorous programs as a result of this, and a more positive environment for studying careers that are important to our economy. And just briefly, the applications for a CTE program will have curriculum that is aligned with state and national learning standards, and the skills for the industries, rigorous curriculum content which is non-duplicative and provides a student with a coherent program of study, the secondary CTE curriculum alignment with post-secondary education and career pathways leading to degrees or credentials, state certified faculty with appropriate academic and or technical certification, a technical assessment that meets current industry standards such as NATEF and NOCTI. And not all NOCTI, by the way, have been approved, but we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of those yet. The post-secondary articulation agreements are constructed to provide students direct benefits such as college credit or advanced standing when they enter post-secondary education. It includes a work-based learning opportunity for all students and a robust data reporting infrastructure to evaluate the success on assessments and future placements. The approval process is based on the Board of Regents' nationally recognized plan, and that plan includes a self-study or an opportunity to evaluate CTE programs, and this is done by a variety of stakeholders, and the curriculum is reviewed to see if it aligns to the standards, to the academic content in math and English and science, so that it's rigorous and that there are application materials prepared once those things are reviewed. The external review is also another opportunity to evaluate CTE programs. And it involves various stakeholders, from CTE teachers to general education teachers, business and industry representatives, and people coming from the home schools or the component schools to help review this curriculum. And they review, address, and approve and sign off on the CTE program plan. And then the plan is forwarded to the superintendent of the district so that they can sign off. And then it's sent to the state education department, where it is approved, that goes to the Board of Education approves this, and once it's approved by the Board of Education and the superintendent of schools and the board president sign off, it goes on to SED for review. And subject specialists at SED review the plan, and then the superintendent is notified. So as you can see here, the process that the CTE programs go through are in some ways more rigorous than the other programs that we have in the rest of the school system. So we're hoping that this model may be one that can be used for accountability for all of these pathways as we move forward. The Board of Regents made these recommendations for further action to the department. We encourage individuals and groups to respond to the proposed amendments. The CTE professional organizations are developing a position and have distributed to the members, and they will be making their own comments, and they're asking their members to do so. So if you are a member of one of those professional organizations, you may want to, if you have not gotten it, seek out the presidents of ACTIA, Family and Consumer Science Association, the Ag Teachers Association, business teachers, health occupations teachers, and so on. And if you have not received it, make sure you contact them. The department is to finalize the proposed amendments. There is a comment period, and it started on November 5th and goes until December 20th. That's one of the reasons why we decided that we would continue to have this webinar tonight, so that there would be some more time for you to think about doing this. Again, if your colleagues need to see this, it will be archived in 48 hours. Some things that you might do as you respond is commend the Board of Regents upon taking this very, very important first step to get the process of pathways going. Pose questions and concerns about what will happen, and as I mentioned earlier, one of the concerns has been whether or not all of the technical assessments that we're using for approved programs are going to be reviewed and or approved, and recommend additional changes to strengthen the pathway concept beyond assessment options. So we're hoping that you will do this, and you need to send comments to the Deputy Commissioner by December 19th is actually the last business day. So there is a short amount of time, but even if you have one or two comments, that's fine. And then the Board of Regents is looking to have all of those comments reviewed, and any suggestions for changes will be finalized, and they're hoping to adopt the Pathways proposal in January 2015 at their board meeting. The next steps that need to happen at SED are identify pathways assessments, as we've said that there is a concern to do that. They have promised to establish a Blue Ribbon Commission for the arts to discuss alternative assessments for the arts pathway. reconvene the Blue Ribbon Technical Assessment Panel for CTE, expand the list of approved alternative exams for the humanities and STEM pathways, and evaluate CTE assessments that could be approved alternatives for the required Regents science exam, and increase the number of pathways for teachers, review routes to certification in CTE because there are many of the careers of the future have not yet been determined, and we need to see some flexibility in that certification process so that we can have highly qualified people who may be in the field, have bachelor's or higher degrees, and would be excellent teachers in the programs if in fact they could be certified. So creating new teacher certification areas in CTE is very much needed. Continuing with the next steps, information needs to be shared about the pathways with parents and students, teachers, and very critically, I think, the guidance counselors. And many of the groups that I've been with recently have mentioned about how guidance counselors need to be included. Higher education needs to know what secondary education is doing, and the business and industry community needs to be aware. Expanding work-based learning opportunities is going to be critical in this process so that students actually have some hands-on career-based experiences before they're leaving high school. Projects examples from business and industry may need to be identified. Having teachers do externships in business and industry is a very important component so they understand and can see how that applies to their students and what's happening in the world. Add a stakeholder group focused on the 21st century workforce skills gap and creating opportunities for all students. One of the proposals for the state aid is to enhance BOCES aid for CTE schools, modernize special services aid, establish regional high schools, and expand access to P-TECH schools. So, are we there yet? Was the Board of Regents' decision actually the final determination of pathways? No, there's much to be done before this effort will make an impact on all students and their college and, in particular, their career readiness. The primary aim of education is not to enable students to do well in school, but to help them to do well in the lives they lead outside of school. And hopefully these pathways will lead them there. And finally, I want to remind you that we are in a time for public comment on the decision that the Regents made on December 20th. And we ask you to consider that you formulate some of your comments based on the materials that your professional organizations are getting out there. And again, your comments are important to the full implementation of the pathways and in helping the department reach their goal by 2015 to offer all students an established set of assessment pathways that are grounded in the Common Core learning standards, are similarly rigorous, and allow for student choice and have demonstrated effective outcomes for students. So send your comments to Casimino Tangora, Jr., who is the Deputy Commissioner, and they can be mailed, but I strongly encourage you to email them at the NYSED P12 @mail.nysed.gov address. So with that, Gretchen, were there any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple questions. I did want to just mention that we have a comment from SED to remind everyone that submits comments to identify themselves as a CTE administrator, a CTE teacher, guidance counselor, student, parent, business partner, etc.
Okay, that's a wonderful comment. Thank you, whoever that was at SED. And also, it's important to encourage some of those other stakeholders. If you're a CTE teacher or an administrator, encourage them to respond. Your alumni are good people who understand what CTE is and the benefits of it, so I would strongly encourage you to get those people on board and have them make some comments as well.
Okay, and you did have a few questions. So the first question was, how is rigorous defined and measured, and how is college and career readiness defined and measured?
Okay, let me take the second part. In the few slides back, I showed a circle with 3 segments, and that is the basis of what state ed is using. But I would strongly encourage you to ask both of those questions to Deputy Commissioner Tangora, because those are things that I believe have not yet been fully defined. And if you have any good ideas or examples for that, then I would suggest that you send those as well. And certainly at the Successful Practices Network and with the CTAC, we talk about the rigor and relevance frameworks, and you may or may not know about some of those kinds of things. So that's one of the ways that I would begin to define rigor, is with the rigor and relevance framework. Next question.
The next question is, what are the significant changes in history/social studies in terms of freeing up seat time to pursue CTE pathway course options, or isn't there a real change?
Right now, I believe that seat time is the seat time that we have always had, and there are not any changes or discussions specifically about that within the decision. And if I am incorrect, I hope that whoever's listening in reminds me of what is stated. Another question, Gretchen?
I only have one last question, just a quick one. Where is the list of 13 approved certification exams found? I only saw 11 listed in the presentation.
The 13 are all in this presentation, and they are also listed on the Board of Regents website. They are in the October 20th PowerPoint that was presented to the Board of Regents. So again, you would go into NYSED and then to the Board of Regents, to the meetings, October 20th, and the agenda, and I believe that PowerPoint is the first or second item under that 9 o'clock time slot. And so you can find that there. But again, this PowerPoint will be archived in 48 hours, and they are listed in here.
Okay, great. You do not have any more questions.
Okay, thank you for joining us on this snowy afternoon, and I hope this has helped you a little bit, and we strongly encourage you to ask the questions and think about things that will make successful pathways for all students and hopefully become part of the entire system. Thank you very much, and again, look for the posting of this archive in the archives in 48 hours. They will be on the CTE website, which you can see the address for at the top of the slide, and you will be able to find those things under webinars listed in the instructional resources on the website. Thank you very much.